Are you up for a challenge, perhaps? Of course you are. Here's an argument. It's raining today, and every time it rains, you freak out. So I guess you're going to freak out today. Okay, this is obviously not in standard form, and that's your task. I want you to translate this argument into standard form. What that means is you've got to come up with an argument that adheres to all of these criteria that appear on your screen. Okay, this is a really important opportunity for you to be checking your understanding of the concepts that we're talking about before things get more complicated, because they're about to. So you really do want to take this opportunity to pause your video, take out a piece of paper, do the best you can to translate this argument into a standard form categorical syllogism that represents all of these criteria here on your screen. And when you're ready to check your work, go ahead and restart your video. All right, let's check your work, or check my work. This is what I came up with as my translation. All times identical to today are times it rains. All times it rains are times you freak out. All times identical to today are times you freak out. Now, you may have come up with different parameters here. Maybe you said all days identical to today, or all days it rains, something along those lines. That's totally fine. But you do need to have some sort of parameter in there because we're referring to specific things, okay? So you want to make sure that you've got your parameters in there. And there's something important to take note of is this, is particularly for the next couple of weeks as we're learning how to work with these syllogisms, when you're evaluating whether or not you've expressed a particular argument in standard form, a particular syllogism in standard form, you want to make sure that you're identifying very carefully what your terms are so that you can ensure that they appear the same way each time. And you want to make sure that you are really clear about your premises being in the correct order. That's going to be super important. What I see a lot of folks do is they'll write their argument out, kind of like I have it on the screen here. And then they will draw a line with their pen or pencil from the predicate term in the conclusion up into the first premise where that same term appears. And then they'll do the same thing with the subject of the conclusion, the minor term. They'll draw a line from where it appears in the conclusion to where it appears in that second premise. And that way they can visually verify for themselves, I have my premises in the correct order, and now I can go about evaluating these other criteria. So what I'll do for you here on this screen, though, is not draw lines. I'm going to use color. Okay, so I'm going to make my minor term red, my major term blue, and my middle term green. And now I can see, do I have all of my terms in the right place? So I see that I have my minor term here as the subject of the conclusion. It needs to appear in the second premise, but it's up here in the first, so that's a fail. And I see that my major term here, the predicate of the conclusion, needs to appear up here in the first premise, and it's not. It's in the second, so fail number 2. So before I can really do much of anything, I've got to get my premises reordered, and that's easy. I just flip them. Okay, so now I can see all of my terms are where they are supposed to be, and I can see that I have 3 terms, times it rains, times identical to today, and times you freak out, that appear the exact same way 2 times each, and they're all referring to the same thing each time they appear. All of my premises are in the right order, so I have a standard form categorical syllogism.